We recently had on Dr. Tait Medina from Rebel Human to talk about the platform they have built for making wellness accessible to everyone. And today we're going to be talking with the other half of Rebel Human to dig into the meditation, positive psychology, and modern neuroscience at the heart of their business. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is Chris Brandt here with Sandesh Patel. Welcome to another FUTR podcast. Today we have with us Jenny Arrington, co-founder of Rebel Human. Jenny trained under Harvard neuroscientist Dr. Srini Pillay and earned certification under both Kundalini Research Institute and the Yoga Alliance. She served as wellness advisor at Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management and has taught executives and employees at Warner Brothers, TED, Microsoft, Cedars-Sinai, BMW, MindBody, and Wix. So let's see if she can teach us some of these techniques. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here, and I'm a little nervous because, I'm not sure I'm teachable.
I've taught the most unteachable and skeptics. I've done it all, so don't worry.
Okay, perfect. Well, you're going to hopefully be able to teach me. Hopefully, I will not be your first failure. I've been many people's first failure. So,
we need to work on this mindset. We'll talk about that.
Yes. There you go. Yeah, you got to build me up. But before we get into that, can you just give me a little bit about you and your backstory and where you're coming from?
Yeah, well, I have been teaching for a long time, and I was already at Kellogg in that position when I met Tait. Somebody got us together because they found me online and they really wanted a Kundalini yoga class for her and her friends. And she's like, I have this woman I know who has this great space behind her float studio. Come meet her. Maybe we can do the class there. And that's how Tait and I got together. And I just started teaching in her backspace. And it was really within like a week or two that we just couldn't stop coming up with ideas of things to do together. And then about a year later, we made it official and created our LLC and created Rebel Human. And we like to say that she's the professor and I'm the monk. So she's got, all of her creds from the interview you just did.
But I have being my sister.
Well, yeah. And I have the tens of thousands of hours of learning, studying, practicing, and teaching. So I've been able to figure out what works the best, what works fastest, and what works on skeptics. And we came together with a common mission to save the world, one nervous system at a time. We really built this curriculum together. She's bringing in a lot of the neuroscience. I'm bringing in, the ancient practices and the applied piece.
Right.
I'm also, we say, I'm the gas pedal and she's the brakes, which we have since learned is like the perfect founder team for a company. You have to have someone who wants to put things out there and without embarrassment, really fast. And then you have to have the person that's can we make it a little bit better first, real quick, before you throw it out there? And we get a lot done together. You were just saying, I can't believe how much you guys have done in the last few years.
It's amazing how much you guys have put together in such a short time, and how much you've had to figure out.
What's different about what Tait and I are doing now is that we're even though we started helping one-on-one in classes and people were coming to our classes and I was teaching them because they wanted to be there because they were hurting and they wanted to see some improvement. But Tait and I are like, okay, that's great, but we want to help thousands of people at a time.
Right.
And we know that these tools can be brought out. And we call it a hostile audience in the sense that they didn't ask for this. If we're in a company, those employees they're not like, Jenny, can you help me? Or same thing in our schools program. The students didn't say, hey, can you help me? We're just giving it to them. Right. So it was a challenge that Tait and I worked through, distilling down from, thousands of years of ancient practices and modern neuroscience and positive psychology. What are the essential parts and pieces that are actually going to create change in real time in a human body and mind? And that's how we came up with the 5 dials.
Sandesh is going to love this because he's got his own personal monk.
I'd love to talk to you about that.
Yeah, he's a yogi.
We heard from Tait when she was on about the 5 dials, but we didn't get really a chance to go through it. We heard kind of what they were, but we didn't like dig into like how do they work. I was wondering if maybe you could explain the 5 dials to us and show us how they're supposed to work.
So starting with breath, I know she talked to you about the respiratory sinus arrhythmia. So every time you inhale, your heart rate increases a little. Every time you exhale, it decreases a little.
I've been using that, by the way.
Awesome. How's it going?
Good.
That is kind of like the backbone. If you understand that, you can play with that a lot. So if we want to increase our energy, increasing your heart rate increases your energy. We want to elongate the inhale in relation to the exhale. And if we want to bring it down, if we're up here and we need to bring it down, we elongate the exhale. More. Yeah, most people do. Most people do. And this is something that you can kind of gamify and can be fun. I mean, this can be your morning practice, is just set the timer for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And even set a metronome is really helpful when you're starting out, because people can tend to count 1, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So to have the metronome can keep you honest and really help you, build that CO2 tolerance. And then you just watch it. Like over time, you'll get to the point where you're inhaling for 20 seconds, exhaling for 40 seconds. There are many other ways to manipulate your breath. I don't want to go beyond that one, because I think that's enough for people right now. Manipulating the breath is one of the fastest ways to change our mind, because it is calming our nervous system. And when our nervous system is calmed, we're putting a deposit back into the body budget, sending signals to the brain that everything's okay. It completely changes how you're seeing a situation, an interaction, something you're reading. There's filters that we're trying to remove. And when we calm the nervous system, it definitely removes a kind of fear and I'm in trouble filter. It should be everyone's go-to first when you're starting to catastrophize. Well, if you're starting to catastrophize, make sure you've had some water and food. And then
so could you explain what you mean by catastrophize?
So when you've been sitting at the computer for hours and you probably haven't had much water, you've just been drinking coffee, dooms, or any of that, you've been on a screen for too long, it's all withdrawals from your body budget. You might start to hear yourself inwardly or outwardly say, "Oh my God, I can't believe this," or "This is just never going to work. Hey, this person is driving me crazy." Those kinds of big feelings. That's when you should be like, "Have I had some water? Let me stand up. Let me go outside. Let me have some food. Let me double the length of my exhale in relation to my inhale." Usually, those things treat the situation. If you've done all of those things and there's still a major problem, because of course we have lots of challenges in our lives, then you can deal with it with calm and clarity and discernment, not from a place of fear and catastrophizing.
In the psychology world, there's a lot of talk about emotional dysregulation. Well, first of all, you need to treat the underlying physical part, right, before you can do anything. Like if you're starving and losing your mind because you're hangry, you got to fix that. But then you have to find ways to deal with your emotional dysregulation.
Understanding emotions is a whole other piece. And we look at emotions not as something to tame. We want to learn from and understand and use them as guideposts. All of our emotions are giving us really helpful information about what to do next. Anger has a really clear purpose. Anxiety has a purpose. Guilt has a purpose. That's all in our schools program. If someone comes to me and works with me, we go through all of that, but that's a really important piece.
So we've got breath.
Now we have focus. So literally how our eyes are moving, and also the spotlight of our attention. What are we paying attention to? Because what we pay attention to grows. If you're on a phone, your interpupillary distance is narrowed and shortened, so your eyes are turned inward and focused close.
Right.
That releases acetylcholine in the brain. I think Tait talked about this, and it gets you really focused, which is great, but you can't sustain that for more than 90 minutes.
You run out.
So if you're going from computer to this, from the computer to this, you're depleting the body budget, withdrawal. So simply looking away and looking at a more diffuse landscape view where your eyes aren't really focusing on any one thing for too long instantly calms the brain. Also, self-generated optic flow. So you go for a walk or a bike ride or a run. So seeing things in your peripheral vision moving past you, that's also very calming to the brain. So this is a simple thing that you're like, our moms probably told us, like, stop staring at the screen, give your eyes a break. It's true. It's helpful when you understand that different neurochemicals are actually being released in these different eye states. So it's not just an old wives' tale.
Part of the problem I have is I'm I'll have people tell me, like, go take a walk. You're losing your mind here. Go take a walk. I'm like, I can't take a walk. I'm too frustrated to take a walk. Sometimes the problem impedes the solution, I find for me.
What we really hope is that by looking under the hood with a lot of this stuff and sharing the facts with people, like, if you do this neurochemical is released and you will feel an outcome within a minute that people will so next time you feel that, you won't be like, I can't take a walk. You'll be like, okay, I know that if I take a walk, it will make me feel better. It's not a hope and pray and a maybe.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I'll just... Just kidding.
So that's what we really hope that so this, if I can pause in the 5 dials for a moment to make this point, because it's really important. What sets us aside from every other curriculum out there, every other program, all of the apps, Headspace, Calm, Buddhify, all of those are very different from what we do for a couple of reasons. They're all teaching the most advanced form of meditation, mindfulness meditation. This takes years of training to be able to do. To sit and watch your thoughts without judgment is incredibly advanced, and I would never expect a student of mine to begin with that. If you don't know how to control your mind, control your breath, and control the spotlight of your attention, what you're focused on, you are in no place to go to the point where you can watch your thoughts without judgment. So Headspace, that is too advanced. So when people say, well, I've tried Headspace, and I say, well, have you continued with it? Well, no. They haven't scaffolded up. They haven't learned the basics first.
Right.
And then when it comes to the schools program, they're cognitive based solely. And we are action based. We can't sit down and have this high level cognitive discussion until you know how to regulate the system and control your mind.
Right.
Then we can talk about these other things. So we're very action oriented and manipulate mind and body so we see real-time outcomes. So spotlight of attention, again, so that's moving from you having control over where you are placing your attention and not being pulled, and knowing that whatever you put in through your eyes and your ears and your mouth, all of these inputs, they are affecting and writing your story. So you have to really carefully curate what you are looking at, what you are listening to, even the lyrics and songs you're listening to. If you're in a really vulnerable state, I remember when Hamilton was big and the kids were listening to that one song, Helpless. Helpless. That over and over. If you're singing that song over and over, that's creating a story for you, and it ends up showing up in your life. So the attention.
What if you have the chicken dance constantly going in your head?
Well, then I think you're a fun person. I wouldn't say that's so bad.
I don't know. I think maybe I'm an annoying person is what that's telling me.
Back to Chris's attitude.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. And so it's also more scientifically speaking, it's interoception versus exteroception. So what are we feeling inside our body? If we're in a anxious moment and we're really paying attention to the tightness in the chest, tightness in the throat, the sweaty palms, the butterflies, if we keep focusing on those sensations, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Remember, what we pay attention to grows. A really easy technique for people who are working through anxiety, not severe. Obviously, you need to see a doctor.
Right.
The best thing to do is turn outward, exteroception, and say like, oh, what are all the blue things in the room? Let me count all the blue things in the room. Let me really focus on what the sounds are in this space right now. So that exteroception, being able to toggle back and forth between interoception and exteroception. That's the spotlight of your attention.
It's kind of interesting because, that's similar to car sickness, motion sickness, like kids in car. Like the fact that you when you start to feel sick and you start to dwell on it actually makes that sensation worse. And like
Absolutely.
one of the things we used to do with the kids is like come up with puzzles or, like, let's do math facts while we're in the car, young kids. Of course they hated that, but it did get their minds off of being sick. So, I think there's really practical advice right there.
Yeah. I mean, and have you ever given yourself a stomach ache or a pain because you thought you read something and you're like, oh, I've got cancer or whatever. Or, oh, maybe I'm pregnant. Like I've felt pregnancy cramps because I thought I was pregnant and I wasn't. Like you can create this bigger sensations if you are constantly focused on it. Movement, real simple. If we stand up, our heart rate goes up. If we sit down, it goes down. If we lay down, our heart rate goes down. If we flap our arms, our heart rate increases. If we hold our arms straight above our head, our heart rate decreases because the blood is all flowing more easily to the heart. So the heart puts a little block on it and says like, whoa, slow down. We're getting too much blood flow too quickly. But when you're flapping, that stimulates this brachial nerve complex and that increases your heart rate and energy. So that's a real simple one. The get up and take a walk, that's going to give, if you're feeling sluggish in the afternoon and you can't take a non-sleep deep rest or a nap, then you're like, I got to power through, then get up and take a walk.
I'm so bad at that. I'm so bad at taking a look at my internal state and then doing something about it.
Well, I'm hoping that now it's not just again, like an old wives' tale or like, I'm hoping maybe it'll work. Now that yes, 1 + 2 = 3.
Right.
Then hopefully you'll be more motivated to give it a shot. And seriously, after doing it a couple times and it works, you learn that quick. Your brain is like, ooh, this feels good. I'm going to do that again.
I got to do that. I got to start doing it. Sandesh meditates every day. I'm editing videos and
well, I have some tips for that too. When we get to that part, I can help you with that. Now, self-talk. Breath and self-talk, I think, are the most powerful ones. We've created self-talk based on the thousands of years, and every culture in the world chants mantra. You will find it throughout history because it works. And it comes down to a little bit of that, like, what are we paying attention to? Grows. This works the fastest at moving the needle in creating a new story, creating new neural networks, changing your self-concept and mindset. Because we're in companies and schools, we call it self-talk, but this is informed from mantra. So we are using English rather than Sanskrit or any other language.
Yeah, and I've seen some new recent research that's come out that really supports this. That the ability to do this can really, really, really change your thought patterns, which I thought was interesting.
We have the research, but we've known, and practitioners and teachers, we've known forever. But now, yes, we have the research to back it up.
Now we have a reason to believe because research, right?
Yes, but if you've done it, you will believe. I mean, it moves the needle. Yeah. So let's just think of people have affirmations on their mirror in the morning, and they may read that affirmation, and that is nice. It's not going to code over all of your not good enoughs. I'm not big enough or short enough or tall enough or wide enough or rich enough or whatever, smart enough.
I'm an imposter.
Yeah, all of those have really strong connections, and reading something once a day is not going to code over that. You're going to have to repeat it a lot. So when I was going through my darkest periods, I was chanting for 2.5 hours every morning out loud. When I have students who come to me to work with me directly, we figure out a tailored plan for them, but it's really a numbers game. And how badly are you hurting and how quickly do you want to change it? And that's how much you're going to practice and chant every morning. If you want it to work fast, we're going to do it for a long time every day. Out loud works the most powerfully, but the way we're bringing it to companies and schools is silently, mostly.
Okay.
Silently works as well. It's not as powerful because you are not projecting it out with power. You're not feeling the vibration of your own voice. There's something very validating about saying, I have chosen to say this out loud.
Right.
It's a little more difficult to do out loud chants in English. I mean, there's a reason why Sanskrit is, one of the most popular sound currents to chant, because they're easy and you can easily feel how they're vibrating in different places in your body, different sounds with different meanings. It's repeating things like, I'm safe, worthy. We use the same part of mantra technology in that it's, if we're doing it in a really rhythmic, repeated way, in that it's 2 syllables. So it's either two one-word syllables or one word that's 2 syllables. So you can add it to your footsteps. So Chris, when you go out for your walk, you're going to say, if you're having the imposter syndrome, worthy, worthy. You're just thinking it on their footsteps. I'm loved. I'm safe. On track is a big one. So repeating those a lot, getting those into your body, rewriting the code, rewriting the story. That's really powerful. We've done breath, focus, movement, self-talk. Now we're on to non-sleep deep rest. That's what, a lot of these companies who I work with, they love the sound baths. So we do these sound, like for Warner Brothers last week, I did a sound bath with them and they love it so much. They want us to film one and do all the editing and, do sound engineering on it. So they will own this like pre-recorded sound bath. And I'm like, it's Warner Brothers. I was like, would you like me to, do you have a wardrobe that you'd like me to have? What about the set? What kind of set? You can tailor it to you. Yeah. So non-sleep deep rest, you can get that with eyes closed, silence, nature sounds, or bowls, gong, droney sounds. Music is really relaxing. We think it's lovely, but it actually activates the motor networks of the brain. So you can't quite get into that deep, deep state of relaxation that gives us that deposit into our body budget.
It's so funny you say that, because I've gone to the places, gotten the massage, and they like kind of the new age music is going in the background, and it like drives me crazy, because I'm like listening to like, okay, where is this going? And like, because I play music, so it's like I kind of like, I'm starting to like dissect the recording and the arrangement, and I'm like, and then my brain is like so worked up, and I'm like, gosh, why do they do that? I'm like,
you so tell them to turn it off.
Yeah, well, what I found for me is YouTube has a lot of great stuff on it for like sounds like that, like between sound baths and things like that. But what I've been liking is there's like, they have spaceship ones where it's sort of like a spaceship visual with stars kind of going by, but it's sort of low hum of like an engine and fans, and it's just kind of
like white noise. Yeah.
They call it brown noise.
Brown noise, pink noise. Yeah.
Yeah. But I find that really helpful. And sometimes while I'm working, I'll do that. And I know that Apple in their new phones just added that feature so that you can have as like an assistive device for people with attention issues and things like that. You can run in the background of everything you do, like that kind of white noise or the ocean rolling up kind of sound. So
before you go to that, I would try like using our workflow and do a screen cleanses, train your focus and attention. Because maybe you have there's too many dings and you're all over the place and you're out of cognitive shape. Like I would say, pink noise for sleep, sound bath, bowls and gong for a conscious, intentional, non-sleep deep rest.
Right.
But I mean, Dr. Nina Kraus at Northwestern, who's a neuroscientist focusing on sound, talks about like the lawnmowers and the trains and the cars and the leaf blowers and all of that noise, different than sound, creates noise in your brain. And so things like the sound bath is like an antidote to all that noise. Yeah. So it's another way to think about it. But when you're doing a sound bath and you can enter this non-sleep deep rest state, this really deep rest, you're restoring, you're putting that deposit back in so you can come out more creative and patient. And like we have to manage that body budget throughout the day. So even 3 minutes of a sound bath, and on our YouTube channel, we have a bunch of sound baths. Just put the headphones in, close your eyes for 3 minutes. It's amazing. Even the short bit what it will do for your creativity and patience and energy level sustainability throughout the day. But if you did a longer one, like, I do for companies or in-person ones, like a 40-minute sound bath. And again, it's non-sleep. You're awake, you're conscious, you get to experience what it is like to be without all of this. Because all the bowls work very effectively at getting rid of all of that. So you're like, who am I without all of this? Oh, yeah, interesting. Things bubble up. Old memories bubble up. I mean, it's similar to meditation. You get similar effects in that way, although we are working very different parts of the brain. So I would never replace one for the other. They do two different things, but that is one similarity, that you can experience yourself without all of this.
This is amazing what you're talking about. This is something that I have started my journey around meditating and just spirituality and all this kind of stuff. And just for the listeners that kind of have that, the biasness going into this, like, how is this going to help? How can meditation help? This all sounds way too foreign to most people. So to those people, I will say I was one of those folks probably 7-8 years ago that didn't really get it. But I was going through some stuff in my life, and I ended up, like Chris said, I met these monks and and it's been really great. It's been a great experience for me. But just today, I was on a call today. So they have these sessions, and it was a monk. He's been 55 years. He's been a monk, and his name is Satchidananda Swami. And today he taught me how to do the Om mantra. Like, he was teaching the class today around Om. And I'm an Indian guy that I thought I understood what Om was. I learned today what Om really truly is. And he was doing it with the noise of I think it's some kind of a musical instrument, a rangoli or something like that, he called it. But he took us to this meditation, and it was unbelievable. Was
that the first time that you chanted ever?
The first time I ever chanted. I've tried it, but it was YouTube-ish and everything else, and I just didn't really, connect to it. But today, you are using the exact same words he did, like the vibration through your esophagus and the body, and really connecting with it and becoming a part of it and everything else. Just so you know, everything that you're saying, I know that this is probably newer for Chris, but you're crushing it. And also you're talking a little bit about taking the time every day, like little periods of time. Like, Chris just said something earlier in the conversation where he's like, I don't have time to go for a walk. I'm too busy being stressed out. Those kinds of things.
I'm too busy wasting my time with stress to actually go and do something to improve my condition.
Yeah, totally. So that's just another takeaway. Like, Chris and anyone else that's watching, the meditation every morning, now it's like I can't live without it. And that's why I even joined these sessions during the workday, because I get so much wisdom and knowledge that I'm getting from you today is just reaffirming just a lot of things that I've been kind of thinking.
So I'm so glad that you tried chanting mantra. See, if you had come to me to work with me, I would have had you chanting on day one, because it works the fastest and it allows you to start controlling your mind, learning. It helps you build that focus muscle faster. When you hear your voice and you have to work on your breath, and you're making the sound for your entire exhale, and you're hearing the different intonations, and you're thinking about the meaning. You really can't think about much else. It's really compelling.
Yeah.
So for a beginner who has a tough time controlling all the thoughts, it's the best for beginners.
Yeah.
Chanting, because it also slows down your exhale to double the length of your inhale.
Yeah.
If you do a long om or an O-N-G, vibrates up here.
Yeah.
You're doubling the length of your exhale while chanting. And I see the biggest changes the fastest when students are chanting mantra every day.
So I'm going to start doing that, to be honest. I just felt uncomfortable listening to myself, doing the chants,
Well, that's why it's so great to do it in person. And I've gotten together with one of my original teachers, and we're going to start just like a community chanting morning thing where it's just free. And it's like everybody who loves to chant, we're going to come together, because there is something very different when you're in a room full of other brains and body, other nervous systems. And we are connected. When all of us are chanting in unison, it is unreal. So I don't know if you're local, I would invite you to this. Happening in a couple of weeks. Okay, so I'll reach out to you about that. You need to experience this. I'll
probably reach out to you on that.
Okay.
I mean, this is great. Like, I have someone locally here, right here, because I'm still new to a lot of this. I just started meditating a few years ago, and divorcing yourself from your thoughts and still just like not having any emotion towards the thoughts that you're having. That is really hard to do. It's getting better. I'm getting better.
But see, if you would have started with chanting, it would have been much easier.
So for everybody else, start with chanting.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to circle back to what you said about Chris and not having time or whatever. So this is why we built workflow, because most people are like you, Chris.
Right.
And you have a ton of work, and you don't know what the entry point is to try to take these steps, and maybe you think you know what you should do. Right. Yeah.
That's the problem.
So in our market research and our interviews, and we're like, how do we crack the code on this? How can we bring this to a lot of people in a way that they'll actually do it?
Right.
And so that's why we built workflow. So it's just little nuggets, and it's built into this workflow session, which ritualizes your deep work session, which we know helps you build the habit faster if it's ritualized. And it's going to help you with the deep work. It just pumps up your how you value that deep work as well. So I think Tait talked about a little bit workflow. You just go in and you say, I'm working for 30, 60, or 90 minutes. It's technical or creative. How are you feeling right now? I'm worried, I'm distracted, I'm tired, I'm feeling self-doubt, or I'm ready. Get started, and you're given a video. It starts out with me guiding you through a little practice, just 2 to 3 minutes. So you're getting some of these things that you would get if you came to work with me one-on-one, but you're just getting a little nugget, because I know you don't have a lot of time. Right. So it's just like we're like planting the seed. It's still going to have an effect. Then it goes to the countdown timer. So now you go to your other tab and you do your deep work, which is cognitively demanding work without any interruption. And the countdown timer in and of itself actually, kind of gamifies it. And you're like, ooh, I got to get this done before the timer goes off. Because I chose to do this and I know this is going to optimize my work, I'm going to do it. So we're kind of making you rest. We're kind of making you do these things that you aren't making time for yourself to do. And it's all within this neat little package for you.
Yeah, and I know that workflow went live today as we're recording. So this is a big moment, and I'm gonna dig in there. I got a little bit of a pre-release. I need something. I mean, I'm not taking care of myself appropriately. So
I know. I really think this could be it for you, Chris. Seriously.
I think so too.
I can't wait to hear how you like it.
It's a hard thing though, Chris, because we live in a world where, you're a parent, you got those priorities, you're a son, you got families, you got friends, you got work, there's just so many things that are going on. And before, what people would say to me, before what I would say to myself was, I'm going to put myself last. My kids are first, my wife,
that's what
my family, and blah, blah, blah. And work, I got to work. I got to support my family. I got to do this. I got to do that. So people would say, well, Sandesh, if you want to be the best, father and husband and son and friend and colleague and everything else, well, you should work on yourself first. And I couldn't understand that. Is like, how's that going to help?
Do you understand it now though?
1,000,000%.
Yes.
I'm a preacher about it now. I literally am.
He does talk about it all the time.
Because it's helped me so much. It's helped me so much. Something really crappy happened today at work, and within like 2-3 minutes, this really terrible, horrible situation that was happening to me at that time, I was able to understand it, deal with it, understand that how I'm feeling about it. It's okay that you feel that way.
Absolutely.
But just realize that that's just your emotion to it, right? That isn't really what it is. So don't let it take over.
I will say, when I first met Sandesh, he had a hard time with this stuff. He was very reactive, and he would get very frustrated and angry, and and he's like such a different person now. So
I'm better now.
different.
I'm better now.
He's
I'm
way
grown
better
up.
now. Way
I'm
better.
grown
now.
up.
He's all grown up.
These things work. They really do. And yeah, you just have to, we're hoping that these little nuggets will get someone like you, Chris, to feel the difference. And then you're just going to want more. And,
Totally.
then we can take you on the next journey. But on Workflow, we do have a whole page of brain training where it's a bunch of longer practices. So you can dig in a little more there as well.
So you kind of have something for every level.
Yes. And we have a whole science behind page on there. So there's a video on each of the dials. So like Sandesh, if you want to dig into more of the dials, there's a whole 5 to 7 minute video on each of the dials.
Love it.
And it can seem really big and difficult. That's why I always start people with just breath, mind control, chanting. And because having a higher level discussion about the ego, for example, you can't really do that and see a lot of change if you haven't done this stuff. Ego is really built by the soup that you grew up in. I know Tait talked a little bit about that as well. So the neural connections that were made in childhood.
Soup as Tait, so
Tait has done a lot of meditating for many, many years. So what neural connections happened, what trauma happened, that's really wired strongly. And then you have your body budget. What body budget, what is the state of your body budget in that moment? And if it's depleted, you're going to be more likely to go to fear thoughts. I mean, our brain is wired to pay attention to our fear thoughts first. And ego is fear-driven. That's it. So we have to understand kind of these underpinnings first.
The ego was my entrance into this entire journey.
So you kind of work backwards.
I met a buddy of mine. Chris and I went to go meet up with him. I hadn't seen him forever. And then he's talking to me about the ego. I'm working with these monks. It's all around the ego and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stressful things happening at that time. I started to understand myself, not thinking who I think I am, but who I really truly am. What do I think other people think I am? Now I understand myself, and now I understand other people better.
For sure.
And then I developed this compassion for people as we are all different. Sometimes people would frustrate me because they would say things and I'd be like, God, that's so dumb, and I would react to it. Where now I don't do that as much. Once it's my kids,
great.
then I react really quick.
So I would just say if you had started with breath and mantra first, you would have moved along faster, because if you're thinking about your ego, that's a cognitive process and you can't really think your way. It's like you're trying to negotiate with a fool, because your ego and your fear brain,
I do that every day.
They're fools.
Totally.
So if your entry point is let me have a discussion with this fool up there who's fear-based and completely, the filters from childhood and trauma are all still sitting there. So our approach is, and how I teach is, let's remove the filters first. Let's calm the nervous system. Let's learn how to control our thoughts so that we can then have a conversation with it, but let's do these basics first and get rid of a bunch of that stuff so that we're not trying to think our way through it. We're entering through the body, and a lot of clarity just kind of comes on its own.
I think this is written for me. Now I know what Tait's been doing. She's been trying to save me this whole time.
We all are,
sweet.
Chris.
I have to thank her.
So Workflow, I mean, we're so excited because we think it's a really great entry point. It's getting at all of these basics and helping people regulate and control.
So if somebody wanted to get Workflow, I'll put up the link to Workflow. How does it all work? They just sign up and they're ready to go, or what's the deal?
Yeah, so you go in, you'll get to a landing page, go to login on the top right, and then it'll ask you to sign up. Once you do that, create your login and password, then you're in. And it's in beta testing right now, so it's free. Oh, cool. I suggest you watch, there are 3 little videos, short videos on the landing page. It's the why and the how and the what. And I highly suggest you watch those 3 before you click get started. Because when you click get started, that's when you're asked those 3 questions. How long are you working? What kind of work? And how are you feeling?
Gotcha.
And then you can start exploring the FAQs and the brain training page. And there's a whole page that's just rest. So it's all tracks for non-sleep deep rest, bowls and water and ocean. Really lovely.
Well, that's awesome. I'm so excited you've done this. And I have to thank Tait for creating this entirely for me. So thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate it. And, keep up the good work. I'm excited to see where this goes. And I think we're going to have you back later to just do the work. Just do the work. And
I would love to
just
do
the
that.
work. And you can, see me. I mean, I wore my, Rebel Human shirt here today.
Yay.
So I'll wear that again and we can do the work. But thanks so much for being on
please.
And excited to see where this all goes.
It was an honor to be here and a pleasure to talk with you both. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you could, please, this is where I beg, please, please, please hit that subscribe button because that really is the thing that helps the channel the most. And while you're there, you might as well click on that like. And I will see you in the next one.